Hi, good evening. Deidre Nutri-D here with Michael Carnevale.
Hold on, stop. Don't say good evening because people might be watching this in the morning.
You're right.
Or lunch or.
Yeah, you're right. Hi, Deidre Nutri-D here with GetWellnessCenter.com, interviewing Michael Carnevale. Thanks for joining us, coming all the way from New York, traveling all over to bring us the technology cell well-being. I just wanted to make sure that Sacramento got the understanding of the technology and what we're doing on the epigenetics scene to change people's health outcomes. Welcome. Thanks for teaching tonight. We know it takes a lot of energy, and it looks like you're the king of modulating energy.
So, try.
Thanks.
It's an interesting evening. Well, you're welcome. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. It was a great audience, great crowd. And everyone's interested in knowing more about their energy, knowing more about how their body is operating in this wonderful world we call, well, the energy spectrum. I like to call it human energy management. So many people are trying each and every day to have more energy, do more, be more, get more results from everything they accomplish. But nonetheless, most people are somewhat going in the opposite direction. So we're traveling the country, telling a story, one report at a time, giving people that education. So it was really awesome being here tonight.
Thanks so much. Delivering this message to people. A lot of people are becoming hopeless because there's so much to accomplish in the wellness scene as far as everything on our checklist, and our mission at Get Wellness Center is to help people take control and get the education it takes to take mass action toward a Get Wellness lifestyle, which means overcoming food choices and environmental toxins and chemicals and radiation and electromagnetic frequency. So this report finally gives us a tool where we can easily and affordably see the epigenetics story. What do you feel was your primary mission, and what drove you in this direction over the years?
Well, I found that most people were just subjected to their lifestyle, and they generally want to make a change, do something, and then there's really not a lot of opportunity to have a technology that's simple and effective, non-invasive, but most importantly, telling them more about themselves. Personalization. You know, many years ago, I had the opportunity to learn more about DNA and thousands upon thousands of DNA reports. People know about their predisposition. The problem is you need to know also about your disposition. How is my DNA operating? How is my lifestyle? How is my nutritional intake? How is my energy working? I mean, we didn't have this technology. We also didn't have smartphones. We didn't have apps. So technology has evolved to a point now that people of our caliber, that are on the front lines of wellness and nutrition and exercise and fitness, can now help people make simple adjustments and changes, show them by, and what's interesting, behind us we have charts and graphs that really show us how their energies are being utilized. And human energy management is the next spectrum of the human experience. Quantification of quantum energies is just really becoming more and more mainstream each and every day. So I'm just on the front lines with our technology, like I said earlier, one person at a time,
Wow.
one conversation at a time, and thousands upon thousands of people are making it part of their lifestyle.
Well, I got introduced to similar technology and understood that something was going to come at some point down the pike where we'd actually be able to affordably see the big picture in an efficient manner. But I prayed. I actually prayed, and I mean, I'm Nutri-D. I know how to practice a healthy lifestyle. And 3 months ago, I started having heart palpitations, and my brilliant team at Get Wellness Center, we were scared. It seemed like I had an electrical malfunction or mitral valve prolapse. I mean, we were deducing stress and nutritional, and maybe I was ingesting a food toxin, and all of a sudden you walk in and say, hey, I've got a device for you. And it was the best birthday gift I'd ever got, born on the 7th day. I run my report and I see this huge interference, and it broke down epigenetically in me, a control center where I could take mass action toward my checklist. And I actually went ahead and knew with a P on my report where it was highlighted, and I actually took mass action toward covering all of my Wi-Fi, the smart meters, and doing what I do in people's homes, and wearing my devices, and all of a sudden, heart palpitations gone. Very interesting. So that made a real difference because myself and my team were very concerned that, you know, my health outcome could have been really compromised. And I mean, with the electrical nature of our beings and your heart being dysregulated, those are big check engine lights. So I just thank you so much for your technology. I would have never known. Intracellular blood work, I would have to just make correlations after years of training, but this actually gave me a P next to a huge red beacon that said, you are being radiated by computer monitors. So we took action. The Wi-Fi, the 5G that's running in our office to protect all of the other patients and clients that come through our wellness center, they're fine. I'm the one reading and interpreting things for people, researching, helping people. As a patient advocate, I'm the one who started being affected. And we can't control the cell tower at the survival food station across the street from the wellness center. We have to take control of our own health outcome. I tell people, don't wait for the White House. They're not coming.
No.
Take care of your own house.
So wellness is a massive,
Right?
massive personal responsibility. And, to the point where you did not have this resource to make a decision that may have simply been an adjustment to your environment is really the true testament to this technology. You see, we're not diagnosing, treating, mitigating. We're not telling people that this is the only way to go and that not to see their professional in the medical world and so forth. That's not what we do. We're opening you up to pathways and education and information that how your body is holding on to frequencies. And what we now know is these frequencies can really, really pile up. And in specific categories, to your point of the EMFs and the ELFs, that is really affecting us in ways that we've just never experienced. But that overload really throw the body off. And I like to tell people that it's like when you work on your computer and you go to hit enter and you try to get the program to run, and that constant circle is happening. Well, our bodies are going through that every day. In your case, it was affecting a different function of your body.
Sure.
But to look at something simply and to say check it off or say check, it actually worked. That's the power of this type of wellness approach. And we want more and more people to know that this is part of their wellness arsenal. They can have this 3-4 times a year, 4 times preferable. Every 3 months, they can identify their change. The first response the human body goes through is energy. It's like I tell people when I ask you, how do you feel? And you say, good, my energy's high. How do you feel? Well, not so good, my energy's low. You don't say, well, you see, I'm doing these wellness things and it's really working, and then I went over to the doctor. That's not how you answer the question. And when people exercise, they define things in energy. And when they eat food, they define it in calories, which is another measure of energy. So we are using this conversation today to really mainstream the use of energy in its narrative as it relates to nutrition and wellness and ultimately in categories that technically they're not being reported on. And that's powerful.
It's really powerful. And as functional clinicians, I think that we are under the most massive stress ever. And having a tool where we can affordably check ourselves from one source that's handling nutrition, it's handling the epigenetic bigger picture in one 30-something page report with actual educational tools. Doctor means educator. I am not a doctor. We don't treat, diagnose, or cure, but as guides, clinicians that help people as consultants, I need a tool when I go in people's homes. I'm asking people to follow a checklist of removing chemicals from personal care products to home care products to food, chemicals they may or may not even know they're ingesting, water filtration, electromagnetic frequency, and the radiation component, and then the emotional stress and those types of things. So there's 7 factors, but having a map when I enter a home with the team where we're doing assessments to figure out, can that person create a self-healing mechanism? Can they turn it on? Do they have an environment conducive to healing? It doesn't matter the disease process, the disconnect. It matters that they understand which systems need attention. We're just massive, very, very complicated cars, and we require excellent fuel, and this report's just made a real difference for us. So where do you think we start? Because most clinicians are pulling and picking from so many different laboratories specializing in different testing. Where do you think we start to bring this picture to the broader spectrum? Do you think this is going to work better in different specific clinicians' offices, or do you see this more in the health coaching model?
Well, I see it in both. I think mostly the coaching model is more of the direction and supportive narrative. If you have a practice that you are supporting coaching, training, and really driving a lifestyle mindset, this is going to be one of your best tools in that arsenal. However, coaches are on the front lines of these conversations every day. They see dozens and dozens of people every week, and that's a powerful model. But let's also be clear, every single professional that calls himself a professional in the wellness world, and we'll leave it as clinicians or doctors or whomever it may be, they need both sides of the equation. They need to work on the peripheral side, which is the energy response, the first response that the body reacts to, the first movement of its system, right? And then they need their inside approach, their biochemistry side. They really need to have that. So having both allows them to have a better picture, see the picture, get the game plan together, lay it out. You call it a checklist, and say check this, check that, run through this. You call it a check engine light. That's what this allows them to do. But what's really amazing, after 3 reports, that'll be 9 months and 12 months, and they start to see the patterns, they get excited knowing that this is not a a medical report. It's not diagnosing or treating or curing anything. What it's doing is showing us how that person's lifestyle and their environment and their ultimately how they're operating. That's information, and as you well know, that information is very powerful to empower people, educate people, and teach them about the ultimate term that's being loosely said today, but getting more and more prevalent, epigenetics. We are genetic. That is who we are. That's our disposition. But epi, our overlay, our lifestyle, our environment, our food intake, our diet, our emotion, our energies, that's the epi side. And that together really tells us a story.
It's so exciting because Get Wellness Center, Get Wellness Foundation, our mission is to inspire and motivate people with tools, affordable solutions to help them take control of their health outcome. You can imagine it was like Christmas morning when a gentleman walks in my office and this technology is finally available in the United States. What do you think, why was this so readily available in other countries and this wasn't so available in the United States? It just took more hoops, or what?
Well, I think like everything else, the rest of the world has a different narrative, how they operate on the wellness spectrum, how they work with people in the health and wellness world. In America, we're very specific. We're very, very straight down the center. And when you have something new and you have a technology, yes, it took us time. It took a couple of years to really bring it into the United States, but you know, we are a wellness tool. I mean, when we brought this in front of the FDA for our application of approval, it's a Class 1 wellness device. What's the most amazing is that it's been one of the greatest wellness conversations we've had now for the better part of 2 years. That's growing in acceptance, and I don't worry so much about the past because you know, obviously it took hundreds of years for this to get here, right? If you think about it, and now we're seeing adaptation, we're seeing more of a mass appeal. And I think now it's just a matter of when does this become, with your powerful conversations and my energy to go out there and tell the story, when does this become the wellness tool that people use in their, you know, one of their first reports? And like I tell people, most people when they're young, they go to school, they learn and they have a report card. It's not a pass or fail,
Right.
It's a report card. And they go through literally 8 grades in their life, maybe even 12 depending on their high school, and they're used to report cards. But when it comes to wellness, we're going through this massive spectrum called life, and we have no report card, and we have no understanding of how our energy is moving, and we're filling a gap. So what the time it took us to get here was obviously our walk. Now we're at a point where we can take this to the masses, and we're excited about it, and our technology is really going to make a difference in that epigenetic story.
I'm so excited too to have something other than blood. I mean, blood takes a lot of effort. There's a lot that goes on, and blood tells, you know, a story, and we're always interested in that. Saliva, the actual hair, but this is the hair bulb, and it's a lot easier to have some hair pulled out of this area of the body or the eyebrows than it is to wait. The time frame for this is great also, so I'm just really excited. One of the biggest markets that I want to help on the Sacramento scene is the yoga people and people that practice yoga and in our community, in our tribe, and we're all working toward a better humanity. They really need a tool. And have you found in the fitness, you've been in the fitness before I was even known of, tell us about what your vision is for the fitness industry.
Well, this report actually has a sister report or a brother report, which is related to the training mechanism of the human experience, right? Because we have the wellness side of the equation, and then we have people that expend their energy and time in the fitness center. So we actually built a report that mirrors this report that gives us the same reporting system, but it picks it up more from a person that's exercising regularly. Yoga is a powerful energy conversation, and obviously the human energy experience in yoga is very, very, very acute. People who actually perform yoga and live in the yoga community tend to have a better connection to yoga. As a matter of fact, one of my first experiences with the reporting was in mass yoga events in Miami and Fort Lauderdale,
Nice.
and many times have we seen that field really, really resonate because they're more inclined to understand how their body harmonizes with the environment, and this technology picks up that harmonic relationship. So I think yoga is awesome. I think fitness and training is really the next generation, and generally fitness and nutrition and yoga people tend to expend a lot of energy based on their love for their art,
We
for
love
their sport.
it.
So I think this will actually help them. I like to use the word repair better after their exercise, how their body will respond better to get them to their goals and objectives, and then how we can drive nutrition into that energy mechanism that they call fitness.
At Get Wellness Center, we've been running the traditional clinician report. Now, will I have a special report that's just geared toward the fitness enthusiast?
Absolutely.
Or is it sort of an overlay of the 30-something pages where it covers everything? Is it A little
It
different?
can be rotated on the next 90 days, so you can literally do a fitness and a sports report or a fitness report after you do your wellness report. You can rotate them every 90 days. Since they're looking at the same mechanisms, the only difference is, for example, if you look at our chart here, the endurance sport conversation support indicators would be the fitness side, but on the wellness side, it would call cardio support. And then the training support indicators are a little different in reference to training, where here it talks about momentum and stability, how the body works with waste, and oxidative, and wellness is more of a overarching category. So it'll have a few different categories, but again, it's geared towards the conversation that your body is having related to fitness as with wellness. Now, does it work as a wellness conversation for a person in fitness? 100%. But again, it's introducing information more connected to the way the person thinks,
Got
so they
it.
can take action and help their sport and their art, say yoga, to do better. and be
So what I'm hearing you say is that the report is customized where there's focus primarily. It all gives you the same amount of information, but the focus is primarily geared toward that audience who has a focus on fitness. So,
Right.
for example, an elite athlete who undergoes extreme exercise-induced oxidative stress, we could focus more on that.
Correct.
Instead of maybe somebody that comes in and just wants to know how their body's managing radiation in their
Or
everyday
dreamers,
life. Or
right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So it covers all the major systems and makes it pretty easy for anyone to interpret.
It's customized to that conversation. The human brain has a challenge processing information that's not personalized. If it's
Got
general,
it.
the human brain doesn't connect as well. But when it's personalized, when their name is mentioned and it's specific to them, they're all ears. They listen, the brain lights up, and we're excited about that. Personalization is the future of how exercise, fitness, wellness, and every type of training mechanism needs to be delivered. You know, why be general when you can be specific?
Right? People love to talk about themselves. They want to know
Absolutely.
more about themselves. I mean, ancestry, DNA, 23andMe, the genetic story. And you've been in this from the very beginning,
35
watching,
years.
monitoring this. You're
Mhm.
like the grandfather of this. But you're not, you don't look like a
bringing
grandfather.
up, you know, it's good to look good as you get older in
Yes.
life, and it's good to take good care of yourself. But over time, you actually become a sage or a guru, or however you want to say it, a Yoda. I'm not getting the visual, but I do believe that
That's
we
good.
all have experiences that people need to understand, and people trust experience, and they trust wisdom. And how could you not trust something? Thousands and thousands of reports later, prior to my career doing epigenetics, I was doing thousands of DNA reports. So I really have a good understanding. So when I work with you and all the thousands of practitioners around the country, I really can get into a deeper understanding and a dive. And I know full well what the patient / customer is looking for, and that experience will get them to make change. And as you know, slight changes over time become massive shifts.
Well, and I
that's
think
what we're
the
excited
human mind, when I ask them to do all of these things, to consider opening up the pathways of detox and removing and replacing chemicals and replacing food that is, you know, crap, carbonated, refined, additives, processed, improving the overall quality, filtering the water, doing the basics. I think people really have a delusion that they're not being affected by these things because they can't see it. It's not in their face. And this is actually giving them a report that is completely based on them so that they can be motivated. Again, P for priority, right? I couldn't have ordered a better system. And this is
The
making a
numbers are in
difference.
place, 1 to 5, the priorities in place, the advisories in place. What we're saying is this: you have information. This information is pertinent. It's either pertinent today or over time. If it says advisory, it's going to change. Take a look at it. Make the changes today, and most importantly, take action.
Wow.
We're an
Yeah.
action-oriented
Avoid FTI, failure to implement. That's what I'm all
Absolutely.
about.
Absolutely.
Deidre, NutriD. And people count on me to do the research, so I've run a lot of reports now, and I've compared to intracellular blood work of my own and others. And I'll tell you guys, it's spot on. So I know you count on me. GetWellnessCenter.com, Deidre, NutriD. Thank you, Michael C, Michael Carnevale, for
Thank you.
coming all the way out for the Sacramento Valley and believing in us out here, making a difference and changing the world. Appreciate you delivering this technology.
Thank you for having me.
And I appreciate all the effort. Thanks. Deidre.
Nice. Good job, guys.
Good job.
Great.
We